I do think it is. I just think that I don't think it's going to be enduring. That's all. Now nobody's ever going to know what I'm talking about right now because we just went live while we're talking about this. So,
right.
And it's off.
But I agree with you. What you were saying.
Yeah, we have
another discussion about that.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Professional Novice with Ali A. Rizvi. My name is Ali A. Rizvi. I'll just call myself Ali Rizvi. And Professional Novice was, part of the reason for this whole thing was just so I could hang out with my friends on, during this pandemic and talk to them about things that I don't usually talk to them about. So right now I have a guest who I've been trying to get on for a very long time. He's so hard to reach. I rarely have access to him. And finally he's on the show. And Armin, I can't believe we're speaking face to face. It's amazing. I'm so happy right now. This is I'm starstruck. So we have with us, we have the controversial, the provocative, the founder of Atheist Republic, the world's largest online platform with 2 million plus followers, way more than 2 million now, and counting. And he's also the author of Why There Is No God. And this is it. This is Armin Navabi, the controversy magnet. He's here.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is fun. We should do this more often. I really enjoy. There's only whenever we hang out on Secular Jihadists, I always feel like I wish I could hang out with Ali more often and talk to him about random stuff. Okay, I hope none of our guests are watching. Sometimes when we have our Q&A, I wish I could just talk to Ali without guests more often.
There you go. We just lost a whole bunch of patrons.
But this is good. So now I have an excuse to come and talk to you.
Yeah. So first, the number one reason that Armin's on here and that I'm talking to him right now is because he's ripped. Okay, and I'm not. And that's one thing. Okay. The second thing is that. So one thing that we don't get to talk about on our other project on Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. That's our other podcast, by the way, people. That's a really, really popular one. Is that there's something about your personality, right, that I want to demonstrate. I want to kind of show to people that I admire. And I think I have a video I'm going to show. Can I show it, Armin? That is going to demonstrate. Hold on. I have to set it up, huh? You'll see it when it comes on. All right. Let me make this full screen on my other thing. And how do I do this? Okay, yeah. Share my screen. That one. Share. All right, here we go. Is it very loud?
No, it's fine.
This is Armin eating a scorpion.
Why? This is not that big of a deal. It's just scorpion.
Huh?
It's just a scorpion. I don't know why you think this is impressive.
Huh? No, it illustrates what I wanted to say. Okay, so this, hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. Okay, hold on, let me shut this down. So that's Armin eating a scorpion live on the streets of somewhere or another. Okay, roasted scorpion. And this actually exemplifies something. Armin has this crazy capability of just whenever he sees something that you're not supposed to do, or you're not supposed to say, and not supposed to indulge in, he just says, why the fuck not? And he dives in and he does it. And then, and it just keeps going, because I thought he'd taste the scorpion and be like, oh, that's great. And the video would end. But in the video, you ate the entire scorpion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
you should try it. It's not that bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to try it. Anyway, so we've got him. So you do this. There's another thing that you did, I think, after when we were in Amsterdam together for that conference, which was a total blast. And shout out to Mariam and Amazi.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was the most fun. That was the most fun I have had, in a very long time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. So we were there for that conference, and then when you came back, a lot of you guys, especially you went on a fast where you're just having salt and water for 5 days. 5 days straight, right? That's all you had? Just salt and water?
Yes.
So you would go on these fasts. So there are these things that you do. There's other stuff that, you do too, but you somehow
By the way, just for the record, I think the responsible thing to do right now is like, don't do that. That's not a good idea. Okay, but
Don't fast. Okay, well,
don't fast for 5 days. That's not a good idea.
yeah. Otherwise,
Go
you
on.
might end up looking like Armin the way he did in this thumbnail.
No.
It's dangerous. But so I actually want to dig down to the roots of that. So a lot of people over here they know your personal story about how you grew up, how you tend to really grab onto certain ideas and think about them, and then instead of asking why should I do this, you ask yourself, well, why not? Let me just do it. Let me just. If someone tells you, this is another thing on Secular Jihadist, one of the things that people love about you and people also hate about you is that when you hear about something that you're not supposed to say, okay, that people telling you not to say, you're going to go out and say it. Like people tell you not to burn a Quran, you burned a Quran on video. People, when Trump came out and said, don't burn the American flag, we should ban it. You're like, I really encourage everybody to burn an American flag.
Right.
So what is it? The first question, before we get into the workout thing, we're going to have all of these conversations and Armin's going to talk about it. But what is it about you where did this come from? This whole idea of, okay, if something tells you not to do something, then you end up going ahead and just diving in and doing it.
Maybe it's because of Islam, actually. Maybe because throughout, like, when I struggled with Islam and I realized that when there were so many rules and so many red lines that you're not supposed to cross, and when I wondered, like, why are these red lines here, and what's the point of what's the point of making this forbidden? And then when I realized that these are just random lines that people drew, and there is absolutely no reason why nobody should cross it. I think when I went through that rebellious mode in Iran, when I was still in Iran, and I was like, fuck your red lines, I'm going to cross every single one of them. And then, I felt very free. I felt like, everything around me is telling me that I'm not supposed to do something. And I realized that it's all bullshit. And I set myself free. Right? So that liberation felt very good, especially as a teenager, right? When I
So I've had that too. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Then later on I just recognized, not as aggressively as the red lines introduced by a tyrannical theocracy in Iran. It was not as bad, but then ever since then, whenever I saw people saying, oh, you can't do this or you shouldn't do this, I was like, wait a second, I recognize what you guys are doing. You guys are just coming up with your own random rules. And when I ask you why this is a rule, you have zero answers. So every time I see a red line, I'm like, I feel the need to piss on it.
Yeah. So a lot of us have that, Armin. Like I've had that too. And there's many people, especially who are ex-Muslims, who are atheists, who broke out of other sort of oppressive religious upbringings and so on. They feel that way too. But I still there's some things like I'm not thinking of, if someone offers me a scorpion on the side of the road and says, here, you want to try to eat it? I don't think, I was raised in this oppressive country, or, whatever. Those things don't come to my mind. There's just a sort of a visceral sense of disgust that, oh my God, I can't eat a scorpion. Right. So what went through your mind? I want to really dissect this. What went through your mind when you saw that? When did you make the decision? Did you decide, I'm going to eat a scorpion today and go out? Did you just go out one day and some guy was selling scorpions to eat and you're like, hey, I'll try this? What went through your mind? What was the process?
No, I just saw a scorpion, and so, like, if other people think this is food, why should I not think this is food? Right? I didn't plan. I didn't plan it to like people like again like you
Isn't
especially
that like
if people think
culinary relativism?
no, I mean if you think like this, I mean I know it's not harmful. I know scorpions are just good protein. I
Mhm.
know it can't taste that bad if other people enjoy it, and if other people say that you can't eat this, and again, this is the same thing. And we're like, why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Can I swear on your show? And then I
Yeah, this
tried,
is not, I don't
and
care about.
every time. By the
Yeah.
way, I try, and it always confirms me right. Like not always, but often. I tried it, and I was like, this actually is crunchy, and it tastes good. And I mean, scorpions don't look that disgusting. Later on, the same
They look like
week.
little lobsters, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Later on, okay. So here's the thing. Later on the same week, I had some fried worms. Okay, and some of them were chewy. They weren't as crunchy, and that was like a little bit gross. But the scorpion, it was crunchy, and it actually looks pretty epic.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. I don't even know why you think that's gross. I mean, I wouldn't do things that I don't like just
So,
because.
wait. You said you don't know why I think that's gross. Do you honestly don't know why a lot of people would think that eating a scorpion is gross or have a sense of disgust towards it?
Yeah, I could see why somebody would think like a cockroach is gross. I had cockroaches in Thailand as well.
Okay, so you didn't think the cockroach was gross when you were eating the cockroach?
No, I did. I could see why somebody would think a cockroach is gross. But then I also noticed that once you have the 2 or 3, then you don't think that anymore, right? But I could also see
what makes you go from the first one to having 2 or 3. The first one, so you're implying the first one you did think was gross.
The first one I could see why somebody would think it gross, and I tried it. I was like, oh, this is actually not that bad. Honestly,
You didn't think it was gross, though.
I didn't think. I tried it, and it was pretty good.
Okay, all right.
And it's pure protein, so I don't know why.
Oh, so tell us about. I think it was in January, or was it? I think December when you told me about how you were in China.
Here's the thing. I honestly don't understand why people think this is like such a big deal. Like it's try it honestly. Like it's just like having chips. It's crunchy, and the only problem I have is that I still don't know what they taste like. I hear a lot of echo in my. Because I think what the most of what you're tasting is whatever spices that were cooked in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that goes for most foods. So because can you tell us before we go on to the whole workout thing? Like I think it was in December, November that when you were in China and you had the bat soup. Can you explain like how that came about?
Wait, I didn't have a bat soup.
You didn't have the bat in Wuhan in December?
No.
You told me about it. Okay, maybe you didn't. Maybe I'm getting you mixed up with somebody else. Never mind. Okay, so anyway, so we're here.
The problem with Ali. His jokes are in the same exact tone as everything else he says, and you never know.
You never know. Actually, no, nobody knows. So anyway, so now we're gonna get to this. That was sort of setting the tone for it. So while everybody else is doing things like we're at home and everybody's talking about how I've piled on the pounds and our hair's grown out and our beards have grown out, you know who I'm talking about. And nobody's going to the gym because the gyms were all closed down. Some places they're starting to open up slowly now. So Armin at this time was getting buff and he looks like he's been going to the gym for ages, but he hasn't. He has a setup pretty much at home and he figured out how to do it. Okay. And you told me that I could do it too. A little while ago. Yeah,
if you have the room. To be fair, some people don't have the room to make a small little gym in their house, so that sucks if that's you. But if you do have the room, I highly encourage it. Unless there are also some people that really need like special equipment, like maybe free weights is not good for them. So for those people, gym also makes sense. Yeah. But I think for most people, it's cheaper and it's more productive if you just set up your own gym in your for people that have the room and for people that don't have like special needs for certain equipment. And maybe some people also need the motivation of seeing other people working out around them. So maybe for them also gym is important. But if you don't have any problem with motivation, I mean, with motivation, I think it works in two ways. So some people get motivation by seeing other people working out around them, but also I think a lot of people might get more motivated if they don't have to get ready and go to the gym and get their bag and change to the gym clothes. I think a lot of people might actually see more motivation if the gym is like right next to them, and it takes like 5 seconds to get there, right?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I'm lying a little bit, because what happened is that I've been reading about people piling on the pounds. I've met people talking about how they piled on the pounds because they stopped going to the gym. But with me, what happened was that especially since my daughter was born, I just could not go. I was going to work. I had the day job. I came back. I had very limited time to do everything. So I was just told, I was like, if you can't get the gym membership, then there's no point. But then I thought, why make the perfect the enemy of the good? I think that's a saying. So when this pandemic happened, I just had a little setup at home. I have an exercise bike. I have a mat, a little bench, and I have these Bowflex dumbbells. Actually, I should show it to you. I'll show it to you in a second. That range from 5 pounds to 55 pounds. And I actually ended up losing weight during this pandemic. So I was
Good, yeah.
working out, and I actually ended up dropping.
Just to be clear, the weights are not really good for losing weight.
Yeah.
Losing weight is. I mean, it's important. Keep your weight. Keep the but
that's where the stationary bike comes in, right?
Yes, the stationary bike, and also diet is way more important for weight loss.
Okay,
can I just say something, by the way? It's very interesting that a lot of like you and a whole bunch of people think like what I've achieved is very impressive right now, because the people that I'm following about what I'm supposed to do, I'm considered fat in those people. Like this is like nothing. Like I what I have achieved so far is like very, very amateur beginner level, right?
Yeah.
So and if I send my pictures to a lot of these people that I follow, they would consider like they don't see the lower pack, so they consider what I have achieved so far like to be not lean at all. So it's very, and given that that's what I'm used to. And the people I follow, and it's very interesting that people are like, oh my god, Armin, you're jacked, you're so big now. Or like, you guys have
that's your privilege speaking, Armin.
And you say like, oh, you look like you've been doing that for years. Yeah, you don't know. Like that's what I've achieved so far is what you expect for somebody to achieve in exactly what you expect somebody to achieve in less than a year. Like people look very different if they worked what I've done for like 5 years or 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's start with one thing, and I wanted to talk about the diet thing. And I like, more than the kind of things that we have to do, I want to sort of get into how to discipline yourself to be able to do those things. And that's why I was talking about the eating the scorpions and everything, because a lot of times it's not that, I mean, people are capable of doing this. It takes about like maybe half an hour, 45 minutes a day, even less potentially, and a lot of patience. It's actually quite fun to do. It's relaxing, but the stumbling block I think a lot of people have is getting motivated, wondering when they're going to see results, and just getting your ass off the ground and doing it, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing is there's two different types of people. So in my case, right, it's somebody who's got, like, if you're very skinny and you want to build up bulk, right, then you're going to see the results a lot more clearly, right? Whereas if you're somebody has a really big belly and you want to build up abs, you can do all the sit-ups you want and all the ab exercises, and you can build up a nice six-pack. It's just nobody's going to see it because it's still hidden under that layer of fat. So you can't really spot reduce belly fat, right? So
you can't spot reduce any fat.
Yeah. So yeah, you can't. So you were in a position, I guess you were kind of sort of the bulk building person, or did you actually have fat on your belly and things like that you had to get rid of?
Everybody has more fat on their belly that they don't like. Even people who are like at 10% body fat, which is amazing, right? Like it's very hard to achieve. They wish that they were at like 8% body fat or 7% body fat, right? So everybody wish they were leaner than they are. So of course, like you're trying to get unless you're like at 5%, then then you're like, no, this getting less than this is just like it's getting close to dying, right?
Yeah.
So because anything below 3% means death. Like you need at least 3% to live, right?
Yeah.
So, and if you're at 5%, you're basically constantly starving. Your life sucks extremely. So yeah, but
Yeah.
obviously everybody's trying to lose some fat.
Yeah, I think people like generally. I mean, I don't. For most people, they just want to be in a position where they feel that they're healthy and they feel they
Yeah.
look good. That's it. So you can have a little bit of a. Those are the two main things, but I don't.
It's a trade-off between that, getting leaner and other things in life. Like everybody, if they could just go like this and get leaner, they would decide to go leaner. But
Yeah.
at some point, you're like, you know what? I'm happy with what I am right now, because there are other things that you have to trade off to get better, right?
Mhm.
Like you're like, you know what? I'm happy where I am with right now. I'm just going to try to maintain this because there are other things now that is important in your life, right? But
Mhm.
obviously, if there's no opportunity cost, most people were like, oh yeah, definitely take me at 7% body fat. That, like, most people would pick that if there was no cost to it.
Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
have somebody who has, you have somebody who's skinny, you can tell them to kind of eat a certain kind, and we'll get to the second part of this. But if you have somebody who has body fat and they want to get rid of that and also build up muscle and then get into the kind of shape, say, that you're in, right? Which
Mm.
is terrible and is horrible compared to all of other
Honestly,
people you're
Ali,
following.
you have no idea, man. You should like it is actually terrible in the people.
Disgusting, Armin. Terrible.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so yeah, so the kind of if they want to get into that kind of shape, and
All
and
right.
this is a big thing. Like ex-Muslim men, right, tend to be. I mean, you and some of the other leaders in this movement, like Harris Sultan, like Video Vids. I mean, you guys are jacked. So this is so I think the first step to that is to whatever religion you're in, just get out of it. The second part of it is, yeah, so if you have fat, how do you go about losing that while you're building up muscle? Do you do them both together? Do you focus on losing fat first, um and or
Well,
do
okay.
you
So first of all, a disclaimer: I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional. This is just my personal experience,
it's
and
called
the research
professional novice?
research that I have done, and the fact that this is my interpretation of research and my personal experience might not mean that maybe my reading of the research is wrong, and my personal experience might not actually be repeatable to people, and you also have to discover this yourself. But okay, but I just want to mention that first, there's two things here, right? Like you're trying to gain muscle and you're trying to lose fat. Okay,
Right.
the gaining muscle part is not necessary. The losing fat part, I think, is necessary for most people. Okay, like when it comes to becoming leaner, I think most people benefit from that, health wise. Um, it's just better. Your quality of life improves, the quantity of your life improves, you feel better, and it's just a healthy thing to do. Okay, but when it comes to gaining muscle, I think most people could use a little bit of weight training, and that's important. But beyond that, it's not necessarily. It's just something that you have to decide whether or not you want, and if you want that, you have to decide why do you want it before you go for it, right? Is it something that is it for yourself? Is it for your own personal confidence? Are you trying to attract other people? Like, you want to get noticed more often? Like, what is it, right? And if you are doing it for other people, is this actually something that they want? Like, because it's very interesting, because you know guys actually like bigger um, looks more than girls do, right? So maybe you have to, like, do you want who are you doing this for, right? Why is this important to you? And then also when you realize that, and maybe like you still do want to become bigger when you're doing weights, then maybe realizing why you're doing it for, then you decide what level of how far you want to take it, right? Because based on your own personal goal, you might actually want to be, you might decide, am I going for like a giant, like big look, or I just want to be like somewhat muscular but not very big, just lean, right? That's just mostly personal stuff. But again, so that's the building muscle part. But again, the which is very subjective, but the losing fat part is less subjective. That's the objective part that is more important, like a healthy diet, doing some cardio, getting a lot of sleep, drinking a lot of water. That is, again, is sometimes it's different for other people, but that is more objective than the gaining muscle part. And I think a lot of people lose track of how important the losing fat part is, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, the advice on this is very, very basic. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the health, the health gurus out there, and the bodybuilding things, they haven't. I've noticed this in the finance industry as well. My degree is in finance, and I was like involved in the finance industry for a while, for a year and a half. And I noticed that, and lawyers do this, finance experts do this, and health gurus do this as well. They have an interest in making things more complicated than that it actually is, to make them more necessary.
Mhm.
Okay, feel that they're more necessary and make things more complicated so that they could excuse them. Getting, you have these, they have the secrets and these things that other people don't know. But the things that you need to do is actually very simple and very straightforward, and it's exactly the things that you expect. It's
Yeah.
exactly the things you expect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, all of us know, like everybody knows what
Mm,
cardio and exercise is about. If you want to
mm,
lose weight, everybody knows what a healthy diet looks like. Like, you don't have too many French fries. You try to stay away from the cupcakes and all that other stuff. Everybody knows the basics of those two things, but they're so hard for people to do. They're so difficult to sustain that
mm,
they are all looking for shortcuts, and that's where all of these other people come in. Right?
mm.
Now,
Yeah.
so the question is, are there certain shortcuts or not? Right?
Okay, there are no shortcuts, but there are ways to make things easier for you. So here's the thing.
That's what I'm. Yeah. So that would be a sort of shortcut.
Right. But yeah, there's no yeah. If by shortcut you mean things happening fast, that doesn't exist, right? Um,
No, but I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, for instance, if you have like you find out you have the HIIT training, right? The high intensity exercise,
oh yeah,
those
yeah.
workouts, and they're about eight,
That's
9 minutes,
not.
but they're super, super high intensity. And
Yeah.
then they keep the burning going on for 24 hours, stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing
No.
people are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, if you look into that, the burning that you get after hit cardio is very, very small. Okay, and you do a lot better actually if you do low intensity cardio and manage to. Okay, so if you do low intensity cardio and you're listening to a podcast and do it for 1 hour, okay, let's say you're on a treadmill, or you're on a bike, or you're running outside, or an elliptical. The fact that you managed to go for an hour on low intensity while distracting yourself with a YouTube video or a movie or a podcast or an audiobook, you're going to burn a lot more than the afterburn you will get on a hit card, from a hit cardio, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, again, the people like look at this research and they're like, oh, look, you have afterburn after hit, and they're like, oh, we have a magic solution for you. You could do 8 minutes and you're burning all day. And like, how much am I burning all day? 30 calories. Like, that's all, like one bite into an apple. Like I just destroyed my entire body. Like, and a lot of people don't know how hit works. A lot of people think they're doing high intensity cardio and they call it hit cardio. It means like you can't, like, after a minute of really doing going intense, you shouldn't be able to breathe after, right? And the problem with that is that if you do that, that's gonna make you suffer in your weight training and in a whole bunch of things. Just do low intensity cardio and do it for a very long time, and it's not gonna make you suffer in anything else. Here's the thing, Ali. I actually have my motivation level is 0. You think I
Okay,
have high
now
motivation?
now you're talking.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I have no motivation. I am actually extremely lazy. Okay, and that because I'm so lazy, what I have tried to do is to figure out how to make everything as enjoyable as I possibly can to be able to do the things that I need to do.
I am all ears. Now I'm
Right.
listening. And so is
So
everybody else.
yeah, because if it's boring, if it's not enjoyable, I can't get it done. You think like I have motivation? I have no motivation, right? So the trick for me at least is to be like, okay, this is a very difficult thing that I don't want to do. How can I change it to something that I actually want to do, right?
Mhm.
And every day I have to go through my task list and figure out a way to go through it while having fun doing it. And that's how I get around the whole motivation thing, right?
Mhm.
That's why I'm trying to build my life around doing things that I actually enjoy doing, right? So I like cardio. Like I don't like cardio, right?
Yeah.
But I also don't like listening to audiobooks or podcasts or long videos while not being
Well,
while
not
not
doing anything else.
while not doing anything else. Like if I'm just sitting like this and listening to an audiobook, I like, what are my hands like? What am I doing? Like I can't just sit here. This is like, so I just combine the two together, right? And
Yeah.
they both fix each other, right? So now I can listen to long audiobooks, and I don't feel like I'm not doing anything else because like I'm on a elliptical and my hands are busy. And the book is keeping me distracted from the fact that I'm doing something as boring as cardio, right? And I
Yeah.
also, yeah,
No,
go
I
ahead.
was going to say, actually, it reminds me of something that after I finished my fellowship, like when I finished my the sort of medical specialty training, I came back to my mom's house and I lived there for a good like year, a little bit less than a year. I stayed with my mom, like big house. And there was this girl that I was dating, it was long distance at the time, and it was like the first stages of it, when you talk on the phone all the time.
Mm,
So, and I remember I lost a lot of weight around that time. It was definitely not because of the food I was having, because that was stacked, living in my mom's house. But I would go out in the evening when she would call, and then I would talk to her outside because I didn't want to talk inside the house. I wanted privacy. So I just go out and I would just walk all over the place, just
right.
brisk walking while I was talking on the phone. And
Yeah,
sometimes we
yeah,
talk for an hour and a half. And all of a sudden, suddenly I realized, I was like, wow, my pants are getting a little tighter. Sorry, a little looser. Everything's, dropping off, and it was getting good. And that's when I realized, I was like, you could do something. Normally, I would not want to go out and just walk for an hour and a half.
right.
But I was doing this and I used to look forward to it every day. And I just combined those two things unintentionally and found
Mm.
myself losing weight. Yeah.
Like like people say, okay, so here's another thing. I don't enjoy if I looking at it like a cake and be like, I want to eat that cake, but I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, oh, where do you get the motivation? I don't have any motivation. Okay, if I don't like living a life when I'm looking at a cake and I want to eat it, and I have to motivate myself to not eat it. So I was like, what do I do? How can I not eat junk and also not have to suffer through not eating junk? My solution is like, just stuff yourself with fruits and vegetables and like chicken and fish all the time, so you're always full. And now when I look at a piece of cake, I don't feel like I need to have it because I'm extremely full with
All
a
the
lot
time.
of all the time with a lot of good food, right? I'm
So how
full
often do
all
you
the time.
eat? What's your
Hmm?
what's your meal schedule? How often do
I
you eat?
I have no meal schedule. I eat as soon as I feel like eating, and I just stuff myself with good food. I just
So
eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, drink a lot of water. sleeping a lot for some reason also helps with your appetite levels. And I also eat like a lot of food that I like. I like fish. I like chicken. Right. I
Mhm.
actually enjoy eating, barbecue chicken. I
Yeah,
enjoy
me too.
eating mussel, and my chicken that I eat is cooked with no oil, but it's barbecued and it just tastes amazing. And I
Mhm.
just, as soon as I feel hungry, I'll just eat it. Right. And I don't like when somebody now is eating like junk food. I don't feel like I'm missing out because I don't feel the hunger. I don't feel the desire. So again, it's not about me having motivation. It's about me not having this, removing that desire.
Do you have any specific things like do you have any specific things that you like for breakfast? I'm going to have this. For lunch, I'm going to have this. Or do you just eat anything whenever you want to?
Yeah, I mean, it's more about. Yeah, here's another thing. I realized that I don't have like I tried to learn how to cook, and I was getting better at it. I was like, this is boring. I can't do this. So I came up with ways to like have food that is just like takes less than 5 minutes to prepare, right?
Mhm.
So I always have a lot of boiled eggs ready in the like I boil eggs in like a lot of eggs, and it's always ready in the fridge for me. So as soon as I get hungry, I just like crack five of them, put a whole bunch of vegetables in it and some spices on it and some like ketchup, and just start mixing it, and some onions and some garlic. It just takes a little, and just mix it and just like start, you know, eating
Mhm.
it, right? And the good thing is that I like the taste. I put the spices that I put, it makes it good. But also the carrots and the spinach that I add to it makes that because it's now so the carrots and the spinach makes it so it does like a whole bunch of things for me, right? The carrots and the spinach, first of all, it has a whole bunch of things that you need, right?
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it makes the entire food slow absorbing, right?
Mhm.
So it's just like for a very long time, my body is having a hard time actually digesting it. Like
It's
if it were
actually
just
burning calories trying to digest the food, right? So it's
yeah,
like negative
exactly, and it's
calorie.
also yeah, it's yeah. So yeah, that's also another thing. Is
Yeah.
but the thing is that if I just had the egg, my body would be like, zoop, here's some calories, right?
Yeah.
But if now that I mix it with a whole bunch of carrots and spinach, the body's like, oh my god, how can I get these calories out? And it's just taking a whole bunch of hours, and it's constantly feeling full for a very long time, right? It's amazing. It's like it just works. Like I don't even have to try, right?
Yeah.
So and also here's the thing: water, fiber, and protein, they have this filling, and sleep have a filling effect. Water, fiber, protein, and sleeping have this filling effect that they make you feel full.
No, but fat also does, right? Fat has a filling effect. Like if
I
you,
don't. Well, okay. So
what?
between protein, fat, and carbohydrate, protein has the highest amount of filling effect, and carbohydrates have the lowest amount of filling effect. However, most of your fiber comes with carbohydrates.
Mm.
So sometimes you take carbohydrate sources because they come with, you can't. This is why I stopped doing keto, because keto was like so carb phobic, and
Mhm.
I was like, what I was noticing, the more study research I did, like a lot of good nutrition comes with carb. Like
Well,
most
not only
most
that,
of
but like
I need a lot of fruit and vegetables and fiber, and I can't, like, what the hell. And the more I looked into it, like I realized that this carb phobia that the whole keto diet has is irrational. But go on.
yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I was saying that about carbs. The biggest issue with the protein. I mean, it would be great. I know a guy, actually, a friend of mine, who dropped, I think, 60 pounds over a period of months by just having steak and vegetables every night. And he's like, I loved it. We're just having steak and vegetables every night. He just
I
cut
would
out
go with
carbs
chicken
completely.
rather than steak. Chicken and fish give you all the benefits.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
I
less
mean,
calorie and less. Yeah, go on.
yeah, but the basic idea was he was basically just doing protein and fat, so he wasn't
Yeah.
having carbs. But then I was like, what you're saying about, if you're lazy and you don't have the motivation, right?
Mm.
Then if you're like that, and then you have to avoid bread, potatoes, pasta, and rice, that would be terrible.
I do avoid bread and pasta.
No, but do
That's
you
not that
avoid it?
terrible.
Do you
Yeah.
do you cut it out completely? I mean, okay, well, pasta I
Yeah,
can probably do
I have
without
I
carbs.
have cut it out completely because I just like chicken and fish so much that it's not a big loss to me.
No, but do you have it with rice? Do you have it with anything else? Or you just
No, no rice, no bread, no pasta for me.
so nothing like
If
that.
if I take carbs, it's really good carbs. Like my carbs, the carbs that I'm taking come with a lot of nutrition. My carbs come in the form of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. What?
I mean,
So what kind
I'm
of
not carb phobic. I eat a lot of apples. Like nobody on a keto diet could eat as many apples as I do every day.
how many apples do you eat every day on average?
I can't even keep count. Like, it's just like every time I feel like chewing on something and I don't want to go and mix something, I just like apple, apple, apple. It's great. The
Wow.
apple, yeah.
So what's it? Yeah, because I have some. Because people say fruits and vegetables. You hear it and you're like, oh, okay, I don't like fruits and vegetables, and a lot of people just
I
don't
love
like it.
fruits. Yeah.
But everybody has fruits that they like. Everybody does. Some
Yeah.
people just like eating berries. Like in my case, watermelon and melon. Like I can eat that shit all day. Like I
Right.
absolutely love like watermelons,
If you,
melons,
and
apples.
vegetables, you could just mix it with the food that you like and just put some sauces and some spices. Be careful with the sauces, by the way. But
Yeah,
put some spices and some good sauces on it. Like if you like, what do you like? You like a fish? Just mix, just throw, like just have fish. Just throw a lot of vegetables on it. Actually, is the vegetable is also, it helps you with the textures that you like. Like, oh, you like crunchy? Just put a whole bunch of carrots in there, right? Just makes the food that you already enjoy more crunchy now.
yeah.
And I understand like why people don't like vegetables. You know how many vegetables are out there? How could you not like them all?
Hey, listen, if you come like with us, well, like it's South Asian food. So there's a difference between like if you take like Chinese food and you take South Asian food. If you take kids, if you raise your kids on Chinese food, they're
Mhm.
gonna love vegetables because what they do is they're not super sort of boiled and the way that they do it in Western countries. It's just like
Yeah.
boiled vegetables and the broccoli and everything, which can be really boring and bland. And then on the other hand, the way that we do it, the South Asians do it, is we cook the shit out of the vegetables, right?
Right.
So all of our well, I mean, I don't know if you know about the palak paneer and the
Yeah.
spinach and all of that stuff. It's all cooked.
Gosh.
There's a lot of oil in it and everything. So
Oh yeah.
you end up killing a lot of that nutrition. But if you take like Chinese stir fry and things like when they do vegetables in a way that they're not bland and they're not sort of cooked to oblivion in oil, and they're
Mm.
just really tasty. I think that's one of the best ways to have your vegetables
Yeah.
is
But
if you do like stir fries and things like that.
yeah, this whole I realized how wrong I could be about, I was reminded about how when I got into the whole fasting and keto fat, and then I came out of it, I realized how after all these years, when I'm thinking that I'm following scientific data, how I could still be duped by things that seems and sound scientific, and then once you actually look into it, you realize like, oh my god, like this was all it seemed like a dogmatic cult that I was following, that it was like, so it gave me a better understanding of, even when you think that you're trying to be careful and be skeptical, you can still not be, right? Like I even looked at people that were making fun of keto diets. I was like, these idiots, they're not, like, obviously they don't know the science. And then eventually I went and I tried to not do like secondary sources research. I was relying on secondary sources, but then I went and looked at, like, you know what, I need to actually practice what I preach. And I actually went and looked at the sources and be like, and then I also started, this is what I didn't do. It's amazing that I didn't do that. I was like, obviously people who are disagreeing with this are not just the people that are commenting on my posts. Let me go and look at the people that are disagreeing with me and see what are the sources that they are citing. And then I realized they were right. It's still calorie in, calorie out.
Calories out. That's
It's
it.
still calorie in, calorie out. Like I was like, it's not, it doesn't matter whether your calories come from fat, protein, or carbs. It's still calorie. You can't break the laws of thermodynamics, and the research actually shows that. I'm like, how is there so many, like, this is actually what the research shows, And there are so many people out there are telling me that it shows the exact opposite, and they have so much great like graphics and scientific charts, and they're citing research paper. But you actually like, no, you guys are like, it's, yeah. So it humbled me, and it reminded me to, I was happy that I changed my mind significantly about something. Again, the only things that you have to worry about when it comes to so-called good calories versus bad calories is the psychological level. It's the psychological effects of the calories that you're getting, right? So it
How?
is okay. So it is calories in, calories out, right? So if you're in a calorie deficit, even if you're eating nothing but M&Ms, okay? If you're in a calorie deficit and you're eating nothing but M&Ms, you're gonna lose weight. However, psychologically, it's really hard for you to be in a calorie deficit if you're eating only M&Ms, because you're not going to feel full, right? You're
Yeah,
not going to be able to.
I
So
get it.
yes, yeah. So if I eat the same calories that I got from M&Ms from chicken, vegetables, and fish, it's going to be a lot easier for me to maintain a calorie deficit than I'm doing it with the M&Ms, right? But the reason why the keto diet has worked with a lot of people is not for the reasons why it's not because the carbs are magically making you more fat than the same calories from fat, or it's not that. It's because the same reason why many other diets end up working is because most diets actually work, but not because of what people, not for the reasons why people think. Because once you get on a diet, you actually start paying attention to what you're eating and how much you're eating, and
Mhm.
the tracking of your food and paying attention to it by itself has an effect of you eating better, right?
Yeah.
So that's one reason why when you go on keto, you end up seeing some benefits. Another reason why is it's good. Like, you go on keto, you end up cutting out sugar, rice, and bread, and that's a good thing. But and that might, that's going to make you eat a lot of better food that's going to keep you full for a longer time. But again, it doesn't matter if you're eating a lot of carbs, as long as you cut out those sugar, you know, as long as you cut out sugar, rice, and bread, you could get a lot of carbs if you want, as long as you're getting it through vegetables and fruit, which keeps you get like, you don't need to maintain a very low carb rate. If you eat the same amount of food from vegetables and fruit, that's going to keep you so full that you're not going to be able to eat that much anyways, right? So it's not, you don't
Mhm.
have to maintain a low carb. Just make sure that it's not something that is what matters. Think what matters the most is low calorie density. Okay, if you eat food that is low calorie dense, then the size of the food and the fact that it takes a lot longer to digest, and the amount of space that it takes in your body, that's going to take you much longer to get
So
rid of. So low calorie density matters more than low carb, right? And
okay.
yeah. So,
N-
so just let me finish
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Switching and not eat, but the fact that a lot of people on keto get rid of the high calorie dense food, that's the reason why they're seeing a lot of benefit. Another thing that makes keto look good is because not having carbohydrate makes you lose a lot of water weight, right? Because holding carb in your body takes a lot of water, and
Mhm.
losing that water weight happens really fast. And a lot of people see immediate results, thinking they lost a lot of fat, but they haven't lost a lot of fat. They just lost a lot of water weight, and they see like, oh my god, this is amazing. So that's what makes keto look good as well. The
Mhm.
problem with keto is that it's harder to keep. This is what I call yo-yo dieting, right? You see a lot of great results for 3 months, but it's hard for you to maintain it,
You
and then you're
can't
gonna,
sustain it. Yeah.
yeah, you can't sustain it. But the good thing about, if you focus on low calorie dense food, is about focusing on low calorie dense food is about making it easy for you, making you feel full all the time, rather than, that's an easier philosophy to continue. Like, it's not just a diet, it becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say when you were talking about the whole dogmatic cult when it comes to nutrition and all the science behind it is that when it comes to nutrition, even the nutritionists haven't been able to fully decide what's good for you, what's bad for you. I mean, you had that
Yes
entire.
and no, Ali. Depends on what you're talking about. There are certain things that are there that is pretty.
No,
There are
yeah,
certain things. Yeah.
there are certain fundamentals that are there, like you said, calories in, calories out. But for
Right.
instance, like when I was growing up through a lot of the 80s and the 90s, and until actually very recently, this idea of dietary cholesterol. That if you're eating foods with a lot of cholesterol in it, then it's really bad for you. It's terrible. So people would avoid egg yolks. So you know that whole thing about just egg whites only having egg whites only, and all of that. Now a lot of that has been thrown out the window. I'm saying that the dietary cholesterol doesn't really have the kind of impact that people thought it did. It's actually the fats that you're taking in, and that's how your cholesterol levels go up. Then
But that's the example people often give for disagreements within the science. But there are many other examples that are everybody agrees on. Like drinking more water is good for you. Getting sleep is good for you. Fruits and vegetables are good for you. Calories in, calories out is good for you.
things.
Getting more protein is important for a lot of people. So those are the things. Like for everything that you could point to, like there's not the unanimous agreement on. You could point to 100 things that there is.
That there's I mean for most of the stuff, those things, the fundamentals are fine. The second thing, so low calorie dense food, can you give examples of it and which ones that you prefer?
Well, I mean, fruits and vegetables are my favorite, right? So and also like that's even when it comes to fruit, I switched from bananas to apples because it's lower calorie dense than bananas, and I want to make sure that I can eat as much as every time I get hungry, there's a snack that I could just quickly grab without having to worry about it. Also, this is why I don't eat much more like beef or lamb. I focus mostly on chicken and fish and other seafood, right? Eggs are great. I know some people don't like the fact that there's egg yolks, but I think given that I'm not eating my eggs with any oil or any bread or any rice, I think the yolk is like okay, right? It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, yolk is fine. But I know there are some people that have come with a lot more, a lot of recipes for low calorie dense food, and they have come up with some really delicious recipes out there. I'm not motivated to, and they have made it very easy, like under like 20 minutes or something like that. I'm like 20 minutes.
Like, that's
like for me, like for the examples I'm giving you is like for people that have zero patience like me. Like I want my food in 2 minutes, right?
No, those people are for all the other shows. Like over here, what we're talking about is lazy people with no motivation and no patience. That right.
But just in case, like I'm just saying, I'm not a good source for. There are a lot of better examples for low calorie dense food that takes a little bit more preparation and like cooking and recipes. There's recipes for that. I'm not a good person to ask because I'm not into that at all. I just want to crack some eggs and put a whole bunch of vegetables and spices on it and be able to ready, Yeah, and also I love the fact that right outside where I live, there's there's a person that just has like barbecue chicken always there available, and it's just like just puts nothing on the chicken, no oil, no nothing. Just put chicken and just like constantly ready for me to just go grab. Like it's just like a lot of protein, very little calories. It's amazing. So
what do you think of shawarmas? Like shawarmas, like I mean, that's pretty much like a lot of it is just roasted meat. And it's in sort of like a thin piece of bread with lots of vegetables inside.
Depends on the bread, depends on the oil, depends on the sauces that you use. Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky that I like barbecue chicken so much because with no oil and nothing, because I feel like it's so great. Like I could just eat that all the time, and it's like I don't have to worry about. There are other food that are tasty, but they don't feel like that appealing to me once I stuff an entire chicken in my mouth. Right? Like it just,
one more. Like I said, there was one more question I had to ask you about diet before we moved on to the working out thing, and I can't remember what it was. It had to do with the barbecue chicken, but no, I remember what it was. It wasn't about barbecue chicken. It was about supplements. So you have all of these supplements. I mean, there's some supplements that are like amino acids and the protein and everything, and you can use that to aid with your workout. They're legit. But there's so many out there that this one's going to boost your metabolism. This one's going to help you lose weight. This is my assessment is that all of them are bullshit. All of them. Like boosting metabolism and helping you lose weight and burn calories faster. Is there any such thing that exists?
So there's a slight effect if you take stuff like caffeine and things that increases your metabolism.
Yeah.
But the problem, yeah. So taking caffeine does help.
Green tea.
Green tea is good for other reasons, right?
Yeah.
But
that's why I don't know about green tea.
The problem with caffeine is that if it's going to take away from my sleep, like if you take caffeine and you notice that you're sleeping 6 hours now instead of 8 hours, then man, that extra 2 hours would have been so much more valuable to you than the whatever boost you got in metabolism from caffeine. You know what I mean? Like I think people who don't drink caffeine, I'm not sure they sleep better, they sleep more. And I think if you're sacrificing sleep for just like I don't know how much of a boost you're getting from the caffeine, you could probably get that boost from 15 minutes spending more on your treadmill or on your elliptical or whatever, right? So I don't think it's worth it. I think unless you notice it's not making you sleep any less, right? But if you could get more sleep, just get more sleep. Actually, if you sleep more, you're gonna have more energy. So the whole point of getting metabolism boosters is not that it magically burns more. Like there's nothing in your body that all of a sudden is like, oh, let's burn more calorie. It just makes you move more, right? It just makes you like, what is it called? Your base metabolic rate, right? That increases because like, oh, you're less tired. You're fidgeting, or I don't know, you're touching, you feel more easy. It's easier for you to get up and do things and go up the stairs. So things that you don't notice that you're doing more, and you're doing it more because you don't feel tired, right? And I feel like you could, if you're getting a lot of sleep, that will do that for you, right? I think if you're like not very active during the day because you got because you're not sleeping very well, if you get 2 hours of mix of sleep every day, you now notice every day you don't feel tired anymore, and you're gonna get an extra metabolic, that extra metabolic effect from that. So that's what I think about the caffeine and stuff like that. Again, I'm not an expert. Please go do your own research. And when it comes, I used to take fish oil.
Yeah.
Now I just eat more fish. I used to take protein powder. I've noticed now that I could, if I get the same protein that I get from protein powder, if I get it from eggs, it's a lower density calorie, that will keep me like, I try not to drink my calories. Okay. Everything I drink is 0 calories. It's either water or or Coke Zero or something like that, right? Because drinking your calories takes it's a calorie that is taking no space in your tummy. You're just going in
orange juice and things like that. Even
no orange juice, and protein shake is basically like that as well. It's basically drinking your calories, right? If I'm taking protein or calories, like it needs to be in solid form that is taking some real space in my tummy, and it's hard for my body to digest.
That's exactly what I do. Like I just drink like either water or Diet Coke. It's one of those things. But
don't drink your calories. Eat your calories.
Yeah, except beer, of course. Then beer and alcohol. Yeah, but
it's worse.
So now, so moving on to now, kind of transitioning the whole workout thing, is that first of all, what is the best time in relation to when you eat? What is the best time to work out first if you want to do cardio and you want to lose weight? So there's this idea that the body works, it burns different things at different, burn your carbs first, then it'll move on to the fats, and then eventually it'll move on to your proteins or something like, is there, how many hours, when you start your workout, how long before that should you not have eaten, or are there certain things that you should not eat certain hours?
Oh, no, there's 0 rules on that. Okay, here's an easy answer.
Really,
whatever is the most convenient for you. convenience is the most important factor. Like, do it as soon as you feel like it, as soon as you want to do it, as soon as you have time.
Yeah.
Any other dumb rules that you come up with it, like, oh, this is the stars need to align the right way, and then I need the the rooster needs to be like, right after the
Okay, okay,
crow.
okay.
Like,
Let's skip the rooster.
no, it's just like, here's the thing: less rules makes it more likely for you to do it.
When I was younger, right, and I used to work out with some friends, and I didn't know this. I was told that when you, after you, by people who were like really buff and they were working out and things like that, I was going to the gym with. This is like when I was very young. They would tell me, they're like, well, after you eat, you just have a lot of carbs in your body, and your body takes a few hours to burn off the carbs. So if you work out too soon after you eat, you're just going to burn off all the carbs, and your body's not going to get the fat.
That is such horseshit. It's calories in, calories out. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's just going to be the calories that your body you just ate. Yeah. And if you didn't burn it right, okay. If you're okay. So
what they would say is that you ate the food, you just had lunch, and now half an hour later, you're going to the gym to work out, and you spend an hour on the stationary bike. You're just going to burn off what you just ate, and your fat will stay exactly where it was.
Well, yeah, and if you didn't burn it, those things that you ate would have turned into fat.
I know, and then once you burn all the stuff that you ate, then your the rest of the calories is going to start burning the fat that you already have, and you probably ate the fat too. So those things are there, but they say, okay, so that the best time to work out is in the morning before breakfast, or in the evening right before dinner.
The best time to work out is the best time for you. Okay, just do it. Just don't go be like, if you have time to work out, just fucking do it. Okay, just do it. Do it whenever you can. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, so when it comes to low intensity cardio, your body is not going to have any problem finding tapping into your fat or glycogen to do what it needs to do. Okay, your body is going to be like, don't worry about this, man. I got you. Okay, I got you. All right. All right. But when it comes to weight training, yeah, okay, maybe there is a difference if you do it early in the morning and you have eaten nothing and your body is glycogen depleted. Maybe in the afternoon you have a slight advantage because you ate food and it's like your muscles have some glycogens in there, right? Honestly, if you're a beginner weight training, or like even if you only did it for 1 year, this is not that big of a deal, okay? Unless you're a competitive bodybuilding that you want to like get every goddamn like that slight advantage, like you have worked for 4 years and you haven't managed to not 4 years, like in the past few months you haven't been able to add 1 rep to this and you just need that extra advantage. You don't need to worry about these things, man. Okay, you don't need to worry about these things. Okay, but
yeah, the one thing that I would say that has some sort of scientific basis is that you probably shouldn't work out after a meal, too close to right after a meal, and the reason is because once you've eaten, and also it depends on what you're eating and what kind of workout you're doing. But once you've eaten, generally your blood is in your digestive system trying to absorb what you've eaten. If you re-divert it, if you just rechannel it over to your muscles and start working out immediately, then you might have digestive problems. But
you're talking about high intensity. I'm talking if the low intensity long cardio that I'm talking about doesn't really matter. That shouldn't really matter. Okay, if you want like a light jog. Okay, first of all, if you're eating so much that you're like having a problem moving, then you have a okay. Yeah, so here's the thing. If you're full all throughout the day, when you sit down to eat a meal, you're not going to be so hungry to eat so much to feel like, oh my god, I ate so much. Okay, if you do only like, I don't know, 2 or 3 meals a day instead of like me that eats like 7 times a day, right? I'm just grabbing food whenever I feel hungry, right? Then when you sit down to eat a meal, your meal portions are going to be bigger, right? Because you're hungry, right? Because when my meal portions end up naturally being smaller because I don't feel like I'm starving every time I'm eating, right? And then because your meal portions are bigger, when you eat a meal, maybe like now you have some problem moving or doing some, even a light cardio, you're having a problem, like that's weird. Like for me, I don't ever feel like that because I never eat that much, right? So, but again, even if you're eating to the point that you're somewhat full, a light jog is not going to be that of an issue to your body. Your body is going to, unless, okay, and I'm talking about we're talking privilege. Oh yeah, we're able body. Okay, I'm talking about people that don't have any problems or issues and stuff like that. But another thing is, do you agree with that, Sally? Like if you are not very full, a light cardio, like just somewhat full, a light cardio after, even right after, shouldn't be an issue.
Light cardio, you mean if light cardio even after? It shouldn't be. But I think that there's one thing that I know. The only thing about this that I know,
if you're not very full, just somewhat full.
If you're if you've had a snack, supposing you ate a whole bunch of fruits and vegetables, I still think if you want to absorb the nutrients, I mean, this is the only factual thing about eating and diet, is that your blood after you eat, right? Your blood circulation is focused on the digestive system for absorption. That's it. So you can have you may have problems with indigestion and things like that if you exercise too soon afterwards, right? That's the only thing. But I think if you've had a small snack, if you've eaten like a really light meal, something, wait about a half hour before you start working out. Right? If you've had like a really heavy meal, then wait like maybe a couple hours.
The reason why I think like, okay,
not because your workout's going to be less effective, but mainly just because it's a diverting muscle. Like you want your muscles to have a lot of oxygen available when you're working out. That's it. It'll get.
But your body, your muscles are gonna have the oxygens they need for a light cardio. The only times they might be like suffering if you're doing like to full failure, like muscle training, your muscles like, oh my god, we can't handle it. If you're doing a light cardio, your muscles are gonna be like, don't worry, man, I got this. I have oxygen. I have all the oxygen I need.
Yeah, if you're doing like a light cardio, sure, I guess.
Right.
But yeah.
Can I just say something like this? Everybody that tells you like, oh, if you exercise, if you eat carbs instead of fat, or if you eat fat instead of carbs, if you do your exercise at this at this like heart rate, your body is going to tap into your carbs instead of your fat, or it's going to tap into your fat instead of carb. None of that shit matters. Okay, if your body taps into your carb, that's the carb that was supposed to turn into a fat that didn't. If it taps into the fat, that's the fat that you want to be burning. It doesn't matter what it taps into. Your body is very efficient at switching in from burning fat to burning carb. It doesn't matter which one is burning. At the end of the day, it's calories in, calories out.
Except for one thing. If you do starve yourself for a very, very long time, and if you do those starvation diets, then typically what's going to happen is if you go into starvation mode, your body will turn things to fat a lot faster when you do eat.
Yeah, okay, right. But that's an extreme situation.
That's an extreme situation. So speaking of that, here you go. A question from Matt Rossi saying, "What do you think of intermittent fasting?" So intermittent.
Yeah. I think that it's a high like the point of intermittent fasting is to reduce the calorie intake. Okay. But the problem with that is that for a lot of people, this is yo-yo fad dieting, okay? Mm-hmm. Because, the only reason why it works for some people is because it's calories in, calories out. There's nothing magical is happening, okay? If intermittent fasting is helping you be at a calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight, okay? And if you can maintain that forever without suffering, then do it. Okay. And a lot of people might be able to. The issue is for a lot of people, this is a temporary thing, and they're going to see a lot of progress at the beginning, and they're going to gain it all back as soon as they know that this is too much. Okay. Do you really want to go with the solution? If you manage to do intermittent fasting and it's helping you, and you feel like it's easy, then do it. Okay.
Well, there's one
the easier solution. like this for a lot of people, this involves looking at food and be like drooling over it a lot of times. Like, do you want to go through your life looking at like cakes and chocolate and be like, oh my god, like I wish I could buy, like I wish I could just eat that right now, but I can't. Is it the psychologically easier solution is to be constantly eating things that you're not going to be able to eat, to overeat on, like you're not going to be able to go over a calorie surplus because they're so low in calorie density, and feeling full all the time, not experiencing hunger all the time, enjoying your food all the time. I mean, which one do you think is easier? If imagine if you're eating 5 times a day instead of fasting, and you're still at a calorie deficit, okay, and you're not feeling hunger. Intermittent fasting also might give you a calorie deficit, but if you're suffering through it, if you're looking at food and like drooling over it half of the day, and if it's something that you're not going to be able to maintain forever as a lifestyle, and if you're going to gain back all the weight that you lost because you're just going to give into it because it just gets too much at some point, if you're noticing that you don't have energy half of the day, if you notice that your base metabolic rate is decreasing because you're not moving much because of because your body is glycogen depleted, is that really the best solution?
Yeah, it isn't. I mean, it's controversial because with intermittent fasting, there was also some time ago there was this idea about how it modifies lipoprotein lipase levels, and it helps like there's certain enzyme level modifications that it brings about that help you.
Okay, so for people with diabetes, and like if you talk to your doctor and they realize that fasting is good for you, that's a whole completely different story. Okay, like
Yeah. So,
but a lot of the benefits that people see from fasting, you get more of that from doing cardio and weight training. So if you're not fasting and people are like, oh, look at all these magical properties of fasting, you're like, yeah, there you get that exactly. You get that from exercises more. So
okay,
you're not missing much.
what's more important when you're trying to lose weight? So you're fat and you want to lose weight. What's important? Diet, or I mean, you're like not
Diet.
super fat, but if you're say you're overweight in the BMI thing, okay, but you're not in the obese category. Okay, so diet or cardio?
Diet, for sure. But here's the thing:
if you ascribe a percentage to that, what would it be?
No, I don't. I can't. Okay, so here's the thing: you could lose. At the end of the day, it's about being on a calorie deficit. If your body just naturally burns 3,000 calories a day, and you're eating 2,500, you're at a 500 calorie. You're at a very healthy Too much of a calorie deficit is not maintainable, and is and you're gonna do yo-yoing. You're gonna lose a lot. So try to do only like 500 a day. Like if you're losing more than 1 pound a week, you're doing it too fast, and you're probably not going to be able to sustain it, and you're probably going to gain it all back once you go out and start binge eating, because you're just like the adrenaline is just punching your brain like eat. Like, so don't do it too fast. Just do 1 pound a week is good enough. 500 deficit, even less than that, 300 is even enough. So, but you don't need to count calories. Just have a healthy. But here's the thing:
good meal portion. The guy who had
if you're 500 in a 500 deficit, because you're just eating less, it's the same as if you're eating 3,000, but you're doing 500 calories worth of cardio every day. Okay. It's just easier. It's just the reason why diet is more important is because it's so much easier to just eat bad calories and just go from like 3,000 to 4,000 by just eating crappy food. Then it's so much easier than burning 1,000 calories. Burning 1,000 calorie is a lot in one day, is a lot harder than eating a 1,000 extra calorie, right? It's just so easy to just eating 1,000 extra calorie in less than 5 minutes. You could do that in 5 minutes. but burning a 1,000 calorie for some people it takes at least an hour. For most people, it at least takes at least 2 hours, and
Yeah.
that's why watching your diet is a lot more important than cardio.
Okay. So now we're moving on to the workout. So cardio is pretty much the best way when you're talking about exercising. Okay, with diet, you're talking about calorie in, calorie out. So there was this guy, the guy who went on the McDonald's diet. You've heard of the McDonald's diet, right?
Yeah.
So you just have the McDonald's diet. And not only did he lose weight, but he ended up, improving his cholesterol, improving a lot of his triglycerides, and some of the other sort of lab measures. And it turned out that a lot of it came down to portion size. Okay, if you eat filling things that are less calorie, that won't get you hungry sooner. This is one of the problems with carbs, is that they will end up getting hungry over and over and over again. But if you have stuff that makes you feel full, and it keeps your calorie count in check, then often if you're getting the right number of calories in, it doesn't really matter where you get them from.
Yeah, right? I agree with that. But again, if you eat nothing but McDonald's,
I'm not saying you should have McDonald's diet all day.
Okay, so here's the problem with eating that. Okay, here's the problem with that. Let's say you eat nothing but McDonald's and you eat low amount of it enough for you to be in a calorie.
I'm giving an extreme example. I'm not recommending everybody eat McDonald's.
I know, but I'm going to tell people what. I know you're not saying that, but I'm going to tell people what's the problem with that. Okay, so let's say you're eating nothing but McDonald's, but you're eating small enough portions for you to be in a calorie deficit. Are you going to lose weight? Yes, you're going to lose weight. You're at the calorie deficit. Even if you're eating shitty food like McDonald's, you're still going to lose weight if you're in a calorie deficit, right? The problem with that is two things. First of all, it's really hard for you to feel full at such a high calorie dense food. Okay, like getting 1,000 calories from McDonald's food is going to keep me full for like 2 hours, but the same 1,000 calories from the food that I'm telling you is going to keep you full half a day. You know what I mean? Like you're going to like, let's say that you're burning 3,000 calories a day. So you want to eat 2,500 calories a day to be at a 500 calorie deficit. If you eat that 2,500 calories through McDonald's and nothing but McDonald's, you're going to suffer because you're going to be hungry all the time. That's not a lot of McDonald's. That's not enough food. Oh, really? That's very small.
I feel the opposite. When I have McDonald's, I find that I'm full for like that half the day. But if I eat a whole bunch of fruits,
2,500 calories of McDonald's.
No, that's
and eating nothing else other than like the 20.
I get it.
Yeah. That is like, I would be like, what the hell? That's it. Like, where's the rest of my food? Like, I can't survive on that. I'm gonna be hungry. Okay, you say like, if you eat McDonald's, maybe it's gonna take you, I don't know how many hours, but I'm telling you, it's gonna take you longer to feel hungry again if you eat the same amount of calories eating something else. Okay, so that's the problem with it. Technically you lose weight if you eat McDonald's only, but still at a calorie deficit. It's just very hard to eat nothing but that, right? You're going to be hungry. Another issue is that it's not just about losing weight. You want to be like the whole point of losing weight is because you want to be a healthier, happier person. Okay, you're not going to be. You might lose weight, but you're not going to get most of the nutrition you need, and you're probably going to put a lot of garbage inside your body eating McDonald's. Like, there's other ways to be unhealthy than being fat.
Yeah, and then there's so Hina Siddiqui. This is a friend, Hina Siddiqui. She's a cardiologist, so she's just saying it like it is. Junk food is junk. I think most should know that by now. That makes sense. Okay, so one more thing. Well, actually, I keep on saying one more thing. There's several more things. So you're talking a lot about the importance of sleep. You're talking about it more than most people I know when it comes to fitness. So I've noticed that if I sleep, if I'm very sleepy like I am right now, I'm actually very, very underslept at this moment because I had a crazy week. But I have noticed, and I know why this happens, but I just want to get your thing on it, is that I become more swollen when I don't sleep progressively. And then if I just get one night of really good sleep, in the morning, I feel perfectly normal. It goes back to, so what is the relationship of sleep to this? Like, why do you emphasize it so much?
Well, I
Oh.
mean, I don't know about personal experiences. The data shows that, sleep is very important when it comes to health, when it comes to mental, not just physical health, but also mental health, when it comes to your appetite. So I don't know if we could judge based on what you feel, or I'm just going by and this is not something
So,
that people.
specifically for weight loss and specifically for
Oh, specifically for weight loss, sleeping a
mental
lot.
health, we're
Okay,
not concerned with it right now.
okay. So for
We're
sleeping
perfectly
well.
happy being mentally nuts but looking good.
Mhm.
That's it.
So when it comes to weight loss, sleeping helps in, I think, three different ways. One is that the more you sleep, the less you feel like snacking, and your appetite is like, less if you sleep more. Okay, so that's how it works with weight loss. Another way is that if you sleep more, you're less tired throughout the day, so your metabolic base rate might be higher because you feel more active. And also, the more you sleep, the more productive your exercise is going to be. You're going to burn more calories for the same time that you put in your exercise. And also, your weight training is definitely going to be more effective. And we should know that the muscle has its own
Metabolic.
maintain metabolic rate. Like, even if you're not exercising, the more muscle that you have, the more metabolic base. Like, just maintaining muscle apparently takes energy, which is interesting.
So
So if you're
that's for the afterburn, right? That's an
no,
actual
that's
real afterburn.
okay.
But
When you talk about afterburn, that's two different things, right? If you're talking about the afterburn when it comes to hit, that's a different thing than the burn that you get from maintaining the muscle that you have.
no, but
Those are
that's the
two
thing.
separate.
Like that is a real one, because if you do have more
Yeah,
muscle mass, you're gonna end up. So this is the idea. When we talk about cardio versus weight training, they always say that even if you want to lose weight, right, the weight training is actually going to help, because if the weight training builds muscle mass, then your muscle mass is just at a resting level. Just to it is going to actually continuously burn calories at a higher rate than if you didn't have it,
yeah.
right? So you're gonna.
Yes, even when you're resting, if you have more muscle, you're burning more muscle while resting than somebody that has less muscles.
Yeah. So okay. So what is your workout routine? Like, how many times a week do you work out? What time do you work out? And is there any pattern to it? Is there anything you specifically like to maintain?
All right, so when it comes to cardio or weight training, or
No,
both.
for both. Just overall, a week in the life of buff Armin Navabi. Like, what do you do?
Not buff. Jesus. All right,
Oh yeah, I
so
know. Sorry, you're disgusting and fat compared to all of the
yes, very.
7%. Maybe yeah, for the 7% body fat people.
So what I've been told by people within the fitness community, that if you can't see the your the lower, when you have, when people have a six pack, like, if people think like, oh my god, look, I have four packs, but people like, if you don't see the bottom two, you're fat. That's what they say. So if you only see the top four and you don't see the bottom two, they consider it as fat. So, and by that standard, I'm actually fat.
Yeah, on the other
Um,
hand, like I used to go around with like a big T-shirt with written across my back, anorexia. That was me. But,
right. So okay. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I try to do cardio 5 times a week, and the other two I try to do weight training. So the research shows that when it comes to weight training, once a week for every muscle is not enough, and four is too much. Four, it means that you're not leaving enough room for recovery. So the difference between 2 and 3 for each muscle doesn't seem to be enough for me to justify doing 3 instead of 2. Right?
okay,
So you
okay, I
could
get it.
so 3 is slightly better than 2, but not so much better for me to spend one more day doing weight training. You know what I mean?
So with weight training, so what you're saying is that the 2 days that you do weight training, you work out all of your muscle groups. You do
Oh
full
yeah.
body.
So there's so basically what if you want to do two, so you have to hit every muscle twice a week, twice or 3 times a week. You could do that either by spreading all your weight training throughout the week and just making sure that every muscle gets hit twice, or you could do it full body twice a week. Either way, you're hitting every muscle twice a week.
Okay.
And which one is there is no which one is better? Like the difference between those two is slight enough for you to just pick based on what's more convenient for you.
Right. So you do. So you're saying that you do. So you don't have any rest days. You basically do every day.
Wait, I do have for weight training or for exercise in general?
For exercise in general.
Okay, so my cardio is light enough for it not to require rest days. I do low intensity cardio. You don't need recovery from low intensity cardio.
So what is it that you do? So let's just go through the week. So if you have 5 days of just cardio, you're not doing any weight training on those 5 days, right?
Yeah, but I do weight training only twice a week. Yeah.
And the weight training that you do twice a week, you're also doing cardio those days, or no?
I try to, but I'm not.
You're not. Okay, let's just do that. We're just going with what you do. Okay. Yeah. So the 5 days of cardio that you do, you said that you got an elliptical, so you do the elliptical. Like what specific? What do you do? Different kinds of cardio, or do you just do one thing?
No, just elliptical. I try to. Okay, a lot of people want to keep switching. Oh, surprise your muscles! Like that's not important. In fact, it's better,
fat, right? So it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Again, calories in, calories out. People, it's another myth in the industry is like, oh, if your body gets used to it, it doesn't burn calories anymore. Like really, like you're doing the same amount of work, and all of a sudden your body, like the efficiency thing has such a small impact. Your body tries to figure out the most efficient way to doing it, but at the end of the day, if you're, for example, running, if it takes this many calories to take your body weight from point A to point B, that's not going to magically get lower because you're getting more efficient at it. In fact, if you get more efficient at doing a certain exercise, you end up earning more, not less, because you're going to be able to do the same amount of work in less amount of time. So I don't want to switch my cardio because I want to get efficient at a specific cardio so much so I could burn more calories in less time. So in the same amount of time, I managed to burn more calories. So people like switching it around. I'm like, no, I'm not switching it around. I'm going to get very good at one thing. Also with weight training as well, people are like, oh, switch it around, surprise your muscles. No, I'm not going to switch it around. I'm going to get very good. Like, okay, there are certain exercises that covers the most amount of muscles. And, one thing that is important for weight training is your form, right? The way your form is very important.
Yeah.
And, if you stick with the same exercises, you're going to be able to, you're going to do those very efficiently. Exactly the time that it takes for you to do the exercises is going to get reduced. Your form is going to get better and better. So no, I don't like switching it around. I try to find out the specific moves that has been proven to have the highest amount of impact and just stick with those and just get really good at those.
Okay, so you do for your cardio, then you just do the elliptical?
Just do the elliptical because first I used to do running, but apparently like the amount of running I was doing, it was so crazy, and I didn't want to have a knee problem when I get like 60 or 70, right? So the elliptical is it's much less impact on your joints. And also I get to do it inside. With the air conditioner on and the washroom right there. I could just like get off of it and go to the washroom anytime I need, water, fridge anytime I need. I can listen to I used to, when I was doing outside, I could only
cheeseburger while you're doing the elliptical, like reach out in the fridge and
And the good thing is that like now I can watch videos while I'm doing it, like on my phone. Like I have like a stand right in front of me. Like when I was running outside, I could only do audio consumption because you can't literally like watch a video while you're running. But now that I'm doing elliptical, I can actually consume like video content as well, which is really good.
And it's less hard on you. So I have a problem. I'm going to tell you, like with running in the treadmill. And this is something I used to do. You haven't done it for a while. The first year, out of breath very soon. but then it very quickly you build up your stamina. But the problem is
Right.
that I used to get, I still do, shin splints, like on your shins. I get this like really intense pain on my shins.
No, don't do it.
Yeah, so what happens is that I can still go. I'm not out of breath. I can still go for longer, but I have to stop because of the pain. So that's when I realized I was like, I got to do something else. So I
See,
got a stationary bike. It's still kind of hard on the joints, but I think I am going to get the
elliptical.
electrical. Yeah.
Yeah, the elliptical is the least impact on your body, and you want to stop doing the cardio. Okay, so here's the thing: when you're doing weight training, if you stop doing the weight because because of your you're out of breath, then what stopped you was the wrong thing. Well, you should have stopped because your muscle couldn't take it. If you
Yes.
stopped because your heart couldn't take it, that means that this is not really exhausting what you want
Well,
to be
that's for the
exhausted,
weight
right?
training, I think.
Right, yeah. But when it comes to cardio, if I stop, what is the limitation? What's making me stop? If I'm stopping because the pain, then I didn't fully exhaust the cardio that I could have gotten out of today.
Right.
If I stopped
Exactly.
because right, so when it comes to cardio, when it comes to lower intensity cardio, I have by doing elliptical and inside, the only thing that is stopping me now is that I need to get something else done. Like I'm out of time with this. I need to move on, but I managed to remove every other barrier. Like my heart rate, like my breath is not stopping me. There's no joint pain that is stopping me. There's no heat. There's no rain. Nothing is stopping me. I could go on forever if I wanted to on this one, right?
Mhm.
So when it comes to cardio, the only limitation that I have right now is time, right? So again, that's why I like elliptical because there's really nothing there's no limitation on how much burning you could get done. And
The thing, by the
and
way,
yeah,
everything that you're
yeah, go.
saying right now, I'm actually going to do. Okay, so
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just taking
No,
your word out.
I don't know if
So
that's a good idea, but okay.
I don't want to get like I'm 45 years old. I don't want to get like super have a I'm just fine with it. I just want to make sure that I'm healthy.
Mm.
That's all. So how long do you do? This is a question from Bidroe 12. How long do you do low intensity a day? And do you have a target heart rate? And if so, what is it?
Well, okay, so no, heart rate is bullshit. Okay, like target heart rate, like oh, you're burning fat instead of carbs. Like who gives a shit? If you burn carbs, that's the carb that would have turned into fat anyways if you didn't burn it, right?
Mm.
So burn whatever you can. It doesn't. You burn fat, burn carbs, just burn, right? Um, the just keep it low intensity enough for you not to stop because you're out of breath, right? Just that's why it's low intensity. It's low intensity so that you could go as long as you possibly want, right?
How
Um,
long do you do it?
right. So okay. So I set it not based on how long, based on how many calories, right? But the thing is that I know these machines they don't track calories accurately at all.
Yeah.
I know they don't, but at least they're consistent, right? So it's systematically wrong. It's not like randomly wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So that means like if I say like, oh, I'm getting on this until it shows me 500 or 1,000, right? So I used to do 1,000, but now I'm like, okay, this is taking me too much long. I'm like, and sometimes some days I skipped because I'm like, oh, I can't do 1,000 today. So I realized that if I just do 500, I'll do it every day. Okay, so I'm just trying to keep it at 500, right? But yes, let's say I'm doing 500 in the machine, and the machine is wrong, and it's I don't know 400 or 600. It doesn't really matter because that means that if I'm getting better at it, like that means that the same 500 that the machine is showing me now, if it used to take me 1 hour to do it, but now it's taking me 40 minutes to do it. It's very interesting because you notice you're doing it much shorter without even trying because your body just gets used to it, right? So the 500 that you used to do in 1 hour now, without even thinking about it, you're doing it in 45 minutes after a long time, after getting better at it. But that when but then I noticed like, oh, this is taking me less time. So maybe I could do 600 every day. Maybe I could do 700 every day, right? But yeah, that's how I look at it. I don't look at it based on time. I look at it based on the calorie. And again, don't trust the calories at all that these machines are telling you. But if they're consistently wrong in the same exact way, that but you could use that as a way to see if the machine is systematically wrong, like it's wrong in the exact same way all the time. You could still use it to see how much progress you're making, even if it's wrong. Does that make? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
no, I know. Yeah, I think I get it. I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
But so for the amount that you do and forgive me if you've already mentioned this. I know you said so about 45 minutes and how it gets less over time. So you're saying that what is the amount of time it used to take you, like initially when you first started, to burn, say, 500 calories or 1,000, whatever your goal was?
What? Say that again.
Did you go over an hour? Is it usually?
Oh.
Do you usually go over an hour? Is it usually under an hour? Or
It's
up
usually
to an
about
hour?
an hour right now. But I think,
Yeah.
I think it's about an hour right now. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very low
cool.
intensity. So 500 calories takes about an hour. But it's one. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm done, but I have so much content that I haven't finished that I need to keep going. Like so like oh my god, there's so much. Like I was supposed to finish another chapter on my audiobook today, and I didn't get to do that. And I'm supposed to watch these videos, and I like follow this news. So I'm gonna just stay here so I could finish the content. You know what I mean? Like that I'm supposed to consume. Sometimes it goes like that as well.
Okay, that's cool. I think that's
Yeah.
The fact that you're watching something, I think that's really good. So
Yeah.
the elliptical is probably the way to go. And you've tried the other stuff, the stationary bikes and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most lowest impact. The fact that it's low impact on your body means that you're not gonna stop for other reasons.
Right. So this is another comment from Bidrowi saying target heart rate might be BS in terms of calorie sources burned, but it is relevant in terms of cardiovascular health. You need to hit a certain level of it to improve heart and lung function.
Right. I thought we're talking about fat loss.
Yeah, no, we were. So
I mean, to be fair though, when it comes to health, there's so many different things. Yes. So when it comes to heart and lung function, that is very important. But the benefit that you get from health-wise from getting leaner, like from having
weight,
for having lower body fat, probably for me outweighs the whatever extra lung function that you could get. I mean, my heart, gets tested when I'm doing weights anyways. But the thing is that if you going on a heart rate that is making you do less calories, then I'm like, okay, then forget the heart rate and do more calories if that's helping you get leaner, because being leaner for health is more important than that, I think.
Okay. What is just in terms of equipment? Just in terms of equipment. Again, one last question about ellipticals is like I just got someone's asking how what is a good elliptical? Do you have a recommendation of the kind of elliptical you should get?
No, I got the cheapest I could, and it's doing me wonders.
And
mine was less than 100. Like there's like when it comes to cardio, it's just like if you're moving, you're burning. Okay, if you're moving, you're burning. It doesn't really matter how you're moving. Just get better at moving a certain way. The reason the elliptical, whatever elliptical you get, because
less than $100, you're saying?
Less than $100, yes.
Okay, but it has a calorie counter and it's got a digital thing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
The thing is that if you're on an elliptical, your foot is not pounding on the ground and you're not going to have all the joint problem that comes with that, the impact that of that. It doesn't really matter. Like all the bells and whistles that you add to it is not going to do much. The fact that you're not, the fact that it's low impact is good. The fact that you're moving and the fact that means you're burning calories, and the fact that you're not hitting the ground with your feet all the time means it has low impact. That's good enough. Any elliptical, I think, would do.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of these for like $3,000, $2,000.
Oof! What the hell? Mine was under $100.
Okay. All right, cool. So now weight training. Now this is the part I want to know about. So weight training you do twice a week, and you do a full
Yes.
body workout each time. Now, how long does that full body workout take you each time? It's got to take some
Uh,
time.
yeah, that takes me some time, and I'm thinking that the better I get at it, I'm hoping at some point it's going to take me less time.
Mhm.
Is the most of the time is the recovery in between the workouts. By the way, the workout itself is not taking that much time, but again,
Breaks the rests, right?
I'm watching. Yeah.
It's the
Well,
rest.
actually, okay. So again, what I'm doing, what I do with weights is not the best thing to do, but for me, it's the most convenient.
Mhm.
Okay. And again, people think that's not important. That's the most important thing, because the most important thing when it comes to having a habit is a habit that you could maintain and continue. Okay. So if you pick a strategy that is more convenient, that you can maintain, even if it's not the best practice, to me, the fact that you're going to stick by it and do it is more important than that slight edge that you're not getting out of doing the most efficient thing possible for getting for gaining muscle, right? So again, I know I get people are gonna come at me like, "Oh my God, I mean, this is not the best way." I know it's not the best way, but it's just the fastest, to the point, efficient way for me is just to do one rep to failure.
Yeah.
Every exercise, I only do one rep to failure.
Okay, so one rep to failure. That means that you just keep going until you just cannot lift that weight
Right.
anymore.
And every time I try to beat my last number, right? So I go, like, let's say I take my dumbbells and I'm doing presses, right?
Yeah.
And I go to, like, I don't know, let's say 15, right? And I can't do 16. I try to do a cheat 16, a half 16, or one thing like that, and I can't. Like, okay, next week I'm hoping I could do 16.
If you
Okay,
can
but I'm
not
not
do a
gonna do.
real one, but you can do a cheat one, a cheat 16. Do you do the cheat 16 or you're like, okay, no, that's it.
No, do the
Does the
cheat
cheat
16.
count as failure?
No, the cheat. I don't count the cheat, but I try to do the cheat because the cheat helps me go to full failure so that I get closer to a real 16 next time.
Hmm. Okay, I get it. So you do that. So what do? Do you do for each muscle group? So you do one rep to failure for each muscle group.
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean, I do my compounding ones first.
All right. So what are the compounding ones?
Compounding exercises are the ones that targets a couple of muscle at the same time.
Yeah. So which ones? Like, so for instance,
Let me bring up my. Okay, I could just go
so
over
you
all
can
of
do like, yeah, there's some sort of like you have presses. They target
bench press.
muscles.
I do okay. I do a flat bench press. Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
that's the first one. Then I do a. These are my. Okay, so I'll go through quickly go through my compounding ones. Right. I flat bench press, then a wide pull up bar.
Hmm.
Then I do a squats. Then I do the barbell row. Then I do the Arnold lift.
Do you have a barbell? Do you have barbells as well, or can you can do
No,
rows with dumbbells too, right?
this is all dumbbells. Oh, did I say
Oh,
barbell? Oh, sorry, dumbbell row. Dumbbell row, not the
so
barbell.
and so just for the equipment, I mean, you made a little video of the kind of equipment that you had. Is
Right.
you had you have a bench, you have a dumbbell set, and you have a pull-up bar. That's
Yes.
pretty much it, right?
And I also have a wheelie row thingy for your abs.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I want to know about that too.
And
But
I also have. Oh yeah, that's it.
yeah. So
I also
I'm
have
gonna
these
go.
things for like this. You squeeze for your forearms. But can I give you a full list?
Yeah, give me a full list. Let me
Okay.
just in terms of equipment, I'm bringing up my Bowflex thing. I wanted to show everybody this. So this is like for people who don't want to get an entire big dumbbell set. Like what they can do is just get this thing called Bowflex. Like if you're watching this on video, then it has a dial here. Hold on. We can dial the weight that you want, anything between 5 and 55. Sahel Ahmed, actually, you know Sahel Ahmed. He told me about these,
Yeah.
and then Lishba got me them for Christmas. And it's just basically a rack. You just put it down. Right now, this is set to 17.5, but you can set it up to 15, and then you just dial it in, and then you pick it up, and whatever weight you dialed in
Mm.
is the weight that you're going to have. So you don't need, it doesn't take that much space. It's just like 2 dumbbells sitting in the corner of your room, and you can pick them up and you can do pretty much anything you want to. They're pretty badass. These are expensive, but I think that there are some cheaper versions out there as well. So you don't, even if you don't have space for an entire gym and for entire dumbbell sets, you can really just have these in the corner of your room. They don't take up any space at all. So.
If you have the space, though, it's cheaper to just get a set of dumbbells of different weights. Those what you have is expensive.
The branded ones are expensive, but there's other companies that do them where they're like $120, $130. Some of them are safe, some of them are not, but I don't know. But there are.
But it's also if you're into drop sets, what you have won't work.
What do you mean drop sets?
Drop sets, like if you want to do a drop sets, like you do like failure and then do lower failure and then do lower failure. Like it's hard to switch it really fast to a lower.
No, really quick.
Oh, really?
Okay. Right down. You change the dial. I switch it all the time.
Do you do drop sets?
No, I haven't actually done that. I've been doing repeated sets of like 10, 15 reps each, something like that. Alternating. Sometimes it's really lots of weights. Sometimes it's less weights. But I think what you're talking about, I'm actually going to try that. If I like doing 2 full body workouts a week to failure, right? Just 1 rep to failure.
Yeah. It's not the best way. Like it's not the best way to do it. It's the most efficient way to do it. Like if you want to get the most amount of muscle exhaustions for the lowest amount of time, like if you want to make out of every minute that you have, you want to get the most return on your investment for minutes. What I'm doing is the best, right? But if you're like, no, I want to grow faster than anybody, like the fastest growth possible, like no, like that's what I'm doing is not the best way, right?
Yeah, no. We're looking at your picture in this thumbnail, and that's why I really wanted to have it here, so that there's some there. There's a picture in the thumbnail of this podcast, this video that has Armin shirtless there, and then.
Yeah, that's not my pick. You picked it. I don't know why, but okay.
Yeah, I thought it was
all right, can I just give you the list really fast?
Please do. Please do. Yes.
So I'll go through it first. There's the compounding, and then I have abs, and then I have the isolation.
Okay. So do you give me the list in the order that you do it in? And
that's what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Let me just give it to you. Okay, bench presses, wide pull up, squats, a dumbbell row. Arnold, I don't know what they call Arnold lifts, Arnold press.
What are those?
Yeah, Arnold is like this.
Oh, like so you start like this and then you go like that, or just
you start like that. You do a twist while you go up.
Oh, you do a twist while you go up, and that's for your shoulders and your back and your.
I don't. Okay, I looked this up a long time ago. These cover a whole bunch of different muscles. I don't remember exactly which muscles, but if you do the compounding ones alone, you have covered every muscle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say? Okay, so deadlifts. Then I do another bench press. This one incline bench press. So the first bench press was a flat bench press, but now I'm doing an incline bench press. Power clean. And flies on the floor. I don't do my flies on the bench because you could get shoulder problems if you do it on the bench, because if you're not controlling exactly where you stop. So I do my flies on the floor because the floor stops you exactly where you're supposed to stop, just to make sure that I don't get injured in any way. Then I go through 4 exercises for abs. I do the decline setups with weights. I do the captain chair with my pull-up bar. I hold my pull-up bar, but I do a version of the captain chair. With that, I do the bicycle sit-ups, and I do a wheel row.
What are the bicycle sit-ups? Oh, with the legs. Yeah. Okay.
Bicycle sit-ups, like you go like this.
Yeah, the crossing.
Yeah. Then I go through my isolation ones. The isolation ones are mostly for people, your own personal aesthetic desires that you have. They're not really necessary. If you want to be very efficient, just do the compoundings, and the compounding ones is all you need. But if you're very eager to see progress faster in certain muscles, then you could add isolation exercises to it as well. So I do my bicep barbell rows. That's my first isolation. I mean, most men are interested in seeing bigger biceps, so you can, that you don't need to do this, but this is, you do the bicep isolation ones.
Oh, I do
Then I
those
do the
every day.
what?
I do those every day because it makes your arms look so big. Like immediately, it's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
The only time of the day that my arms look big. It's great. Like for an hour at last. I'm like,
that's that's the pump. That's a blood flow that is going in.
that's the inflammation.
Yeah. Then I do the calves, just because I feel like the compounding ones are not covering my calves at all. The squat doesn't seem to be covering my calves, so I do one isolation on the calves. I do the side raises. I added the side raises. By the way, the front raises are unnecessary. All the shoulder exercises that covers your front, shoulder muscles are already getting covered in your compounding exercises. I do the side raises because my wife told me that she likes, she told me my shoulders are small. I was like, what? Okay, so I added the side raises.
Oh, she shoulder shamed you?
Yeah, she shoulder shamed me.
Shy.
She's right though. She's right.
Oh no, I think that's terrible. That's emotional abuse.
I do the this is also called fly, but it's the opposite of the first one. The first fly that I mentioned, I don't know if I'm naming them correctly. The first fly I mentioned is like you're on the floor and you're bringing the dumbbells together like this.
Yeah,
but
like
this,
that. A fly.
Yeah, but this one is also a fly, but it's like the opposite. It's like this. This is for your back. That one is for your chest.
Oh, you mean so you bend over at the waist with your knee slightly bent, and then you
and you go like this.
That? Yeah.
Right. Again, this is not that necessary, but I do this because of posture. Like I like to have a good posture. Like for posture,
if you're doing rows, I mean, you do rows the same way, right? You kind of bend over a little bit, and then you just pull your dumbbells up.
Yeah, wait. That's a different shoulder. Yeah, that's back muscle.
It's a different back muscle.
It's a different back muscle. Yeah. I do neck exercises. That's also for posture. Like I just go on my bench and I push on my head and I try to go like this, just so that I don't have this forward nerdy computer geek look. So I have that's also for posture reasons, right? That I exercise.
You got a forward nerdy computer geek look.
Yeah. So I try to exercise my neck muscles.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that I have it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. Yeah.
I do the skull crushers, but I do it without actually bringing it to my skull. I do it by bringing it to the back of my head, just to be sure that I never hit myself in the head, right? So
skull crushers.
Crushers. Like you go down on your bench and you go like this.
Oh yeah. Okay, those are called skull crushers.
Skull crushers, yeah, because they're supposed to come to your skull, but don't actually bring it to your skull. Go lower.
Yeah. I didn't even know. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
I
do the shrugs just for here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like two
trapezoids.
These are take two 90-pound dumbbells and I go like this 50 times. Then I do my forearms just because I think none of the compounding ones cover my forearms. I do 4 different exercises with dumbbells. One like this, the other one like this.
So that's what you're doing for those listening with the wrists. Is you're flexing the wrists and then you're extending the wrists. Right.
Yeah. Okay. And 4 directions. 45 pounds. 10 in 4 directions. Again, there are some of these that I'm not even trying to improve anymore. I'm happy where I am, and I'm just trying to maintain it. There's a few that I have signal these need to improve. The other ones just stay here, no need to add to it. And the fact is that the ones that I'm not adding to it makes it easier for me to, because my body is not getting exhausted and the ones that I'm focusing on improving, I'm noticing that they're improving faster ever since I'm not improving the other ones. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. For example, when the white pull up, I do 15 right now. I'm 15 is fine. No need to go to 16. My deadlifts, I'm staying where I am. I'm not increasing it. And the ones that I'm happy where I am and I'm not improving, because my body is not getting exhausted by those, the few areas that I'm trying to improve, I have a lot more energy to improve those.
Yeah. So what do you now? Is it better to have bigger weights and lower reps to failure, or less weights and more reps to failure?
Okay, when it comes, it doesn't seem to be that much of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the slight difference are for professional bodybuilders that be like really want to make um get everything, every smallest amount of advantage that they possibly get. Okay, but for most people, you should just take it to failure. If you're taking it to failure after 10 reps, you took it to failure. If you took it to failure after 20 reps, you took it to failure, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a difference, but most people shouldn't right now worry about the difference. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if someone's just starting out, right,
Mm.
or if someone is sort of intermediate or just do it just to kind of maintain a certain level and they're not professional, then would the relatively lower weight to failure be safer just in terms of
Yes.
avoiding
So I was
injury?
gonna say there are some benefits to each one of them. Okay. So the benefits to higher weights, lower reps is less time. So you get to get your workout done faster. I like going higher rep more because first of all, I get to keep my form better with lower weights, higher reps to failure. It's safer, less chances of injury. Okay, and the last rep to failure is closer to failure with a smaller weight. Okay, for example, let's say I'm doing bench presses and people say only do 13 and I'm actually up to 20, right? And my last set is 20. People are like, oh, if you're 20, then you probably should have bring your weight a little bit lower. Yeah, but those are for people who are doing like multiple sets of reps and blah, blah, blah. For me, for somebody that is doing only one set and doing like taking it to failure. But I think I said reps earlier instead of reps. Okay, I do one set. Did I say I do one rep? Not one rep. I do one set.
No one
Okay.
said, yeah.
Yeah. But if I am doing one set and taking it to failure, if I do, if my final rep is at 20 instead of 13, 13 means that like I'm missing something. You know what I mean? Like there's a 13 and a half there that I'm not taking advantage of, right? But that
Oh,
20, like that's because it's a smaller weight, that means like you really went to full, like to a closer to failure than you could have gone
yeah.
to
So if you
higher
divide
weight.
it up into fractions, you're stopping at this is whole numbers. You're getting the
Right.
whole number, so you're missing out all the fractions. So if
Yes,
you do a much
exactly.
higher weight and you do 6, right? Then between the 6 and 7, that could have, yeah. So I get it. It's a
Yeah, yeah. So that's one. So it's closer to
oh mathematical.
it's closer to failure. My form is better, and chances of injury is lower with with a little bit of a higher rep and lower weights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So that's a long workout, long weight training workout. How long does it take you?
Takes me half a day, but it takes me half a day because in between my sets, I'm like
Half a day
listening.
is how many hours?
Like I don't know, like maybe like I don't know, probably like 6 hours or maybe 8 hours. But that's not 8 hours of exercising. That's 8 hours of exercising plus going through my task list, answering people their messages, doing some small, looking at my to-do list and seeing what are some 5-minute things that I could get done in the between my workouts.
Yeah, like a
Finishing
running
my
errand.
yeah, like
Oh, so you
and
spread it out throughout the day. You don't. It's not really a session.
right. And
It's
I
your
like that
workout day.
because my body is not meant to, like if the resting high resting periods between my, and this is something you can't do in the gym. I could do it at home because I could walk around and do some other things in between my sets, and that's why I love doing it at home. And that means that when I go to the next exercise, my body had so much rest that it's not going to suffer from the exhaustion of the previous exercise, right? So now if I'm doing this next set of my muscles, these muscles are going to go to full failure because my mentally and any I'm not suffering from mentally and any other way, like what else, like energy, mentally my body is not exhausted from the previous exercise.
Did you get this from somewhere? Are there other people who do this, like this idea of just one set to failure, or is it
one set? Yeah,
something that you figured out for yourself?
I mean, I didn't copy it from anywhere, but it just I just like it so much. And I think
I like it a lot too.
Yeah. And here's the thing, liking it matters a lot, even if it's less efficient, because if you liking what you do makes you do it more often, right? So if you find a method, like let's say, oh, this way of doing it is not as efficient, but you like it more, then go with that one, because you're gonna do it more often, and you're gonna quit. There's less likely of you quitting. Do the less efficient.
It's something you're gonna maintain if you're doing one. Because I can tell you, like, if you're doing the same thing, if you have like 5 compounded exercises that you want to do in one workout, because I don't do that for 6 hours, 8 hours, and but if I have those things to do, and I know that I have to do 3 sets of one of the things, then if I'm short on time, then it's a little annoying. Like, there are times when I've actually said, okay, no, I have this to do, so I'm not going to have time for the workout, so screw it. But but the way that you're going, I can still squeeze out a few things there. I can still squeeze out like 3 or 4 things, and then come back and then do the other ones.
Yeah.
So I love that, especially. So the thing is that, of course, if we didn't have a picture of you the way we do in the thumbnail, and you were basically standing out there with a belly and tits and stuff, then it would be completely different. But the fact that we have it's a method that's tried and tested and shown results.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not. It's anecdotal, and it's based on one person, right? So
it is based on one person. But the thing is that if it's something that potentially works, and it's not just anecdotal, because it makes scientific sense. Right? Like working something to failure.
Yeah.
Does make scientific sense. Now, the only thing that I'd say is that if you have like very long rest periods in the middle, if you're the kind of person who's also trying to get your cardio thing out of your weight training as well, then it may not be so effective, right? Because you're not. It's not continuous. But if you are separating your cardio and your weight training, like if you're doing what Armin's doing, 5 days like cardio and then 2 days weight training, then it actually makes complete sense.
Yeah, so that's actually very important. So the only time that going to full failure might not help work is that sometimes it might not be a good thing if your next exercise is in less than 72 hours, and you're going to full failure is going to make it less likely for you to recover before your next set of exercises, right? The good thing about me is that because I do 2 workouts in a week instead of 3, I can feel safe that me going to failure is not going to. I have so much time between my next weight training exercise that I'm not going to, like, I don't have an issue when it comes to recovery time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's a lot safer. It's a lot easier for people to justify going to failure if they're doing weight training twice a week instead of 3 times a week.
Okay, so that's amazing. So I'm just going to review some of the stuff that we said. So this was actually very different from what I thought. You told me stuff like you really do things your own way. So first of all, you eat whenever you're hungry. It doesn't matter if it's the morning, middle of the night. It doesn't make a difference. It's not like, okay, no, I do have to have eggs for breakfast. I do have to have chicken for lunch. It's nothing like that. You just have a whole bunch of boiled eggs in your fridge. You got shitloads of apples, and you just grab something when you want to eat it, and you're full all the time. And that makes you not want to eat cake in front of you when it's there.
Right.
Okay. So that's basically your diet thing. You also eat low calorie dense foods, right? And you avoid the high calorie dense food. Okay. Then The second thing you do is your workout routine is you do cardio 5 days a week, and the only thing you do is elliptical, and you combine it with a movie you want to watch, an audiobook you want to hear, a TV show, something like that, podcast, so that you can continue to watch it, right? And so that's and you go by the calories. About 500 calories.
I suggest movies to people that might want to use something to distract them. I myself only do audiobooks and content important to my activism,
like YouTube videos and interviews and things like that.
Okay. Yes, exactly. And the news.
And your elliptical machine is less than $100. It's really cheap. You know, if you're burning. You just have a stand with it where you prop up your phone and you can watch whatever the hell you want to. Your iPad, put it in front of the TV, anything you want.
I like my electrical because it's very cheap and it also takes much less space than the expensive electricals.
Yeah. And then you do weight training 2 days a week. You spread it out in each day throughout the day, mixed with your errands and all the other things that you have to do. So that means increased rest periods between exercises. And the exercises you have are basically full body. It's a full body workout 2 days a week that involves pretty much muscle, and you do one set to failure for each exercise.
Some people might have been confused. I think earlier I said one rep instead of one set, so that might have been confusing to a lot of people.
I think you said one set to failure.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe
if people like one rep to failure. Okay, yeah.
I think we'll figure it out, Armin.
Okay. Fine. That's like weird. Okay.
So that's the thing, and then also you said sleep. Get lots of sleep. So and
and also don't follow my model. Follow a model that is not harmful. Like people say like, oh, do what's work for you. Yes and no. Okay. Because you can't ignore what works for most people. You have to actually follow the data, right? Look at what works for most people and then adjust it slightly, even if it makes it less efficient, adjust it slightly to make it something that you actually enjoy doing so that you turn it into a lifestyle rather than a chore. And if you turn it into a lifestyle rather than a chore, you're going to stick by it. Like, especially for weight training for men, you have to learn to enjoy it. I think there's something built within us that we could tap into, that we actually enjoy,
something built into men.
Are
you trying to say that? Yeah.
Okay, shut up.
Fine, sure.
Shut up. I think we are wired, like men are wired in a way to, I don't know what is it that we're tapping into, but when you're lifting weights, there's something enjoyable about that. I don't know what. So notice that, and if you try to notice that enjoyment, and when you're noticing that, the more you notice it, the less of a chore the weight training exercise is going to be for you.
I love.
I don't know.
This is great. I think. So I'm actually going to, I was looking up ellipticals while you were talking. I was like, okay, I'm going to switch from this to ellipticals. So I've been told that. I kind of know. I've seen Ruth Bader Ginsburg do the elliptical thing. There's so many videos of her doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And apparently she's doing pretty well. So
what are you going to watch? Like when you do it? Like, are you going to do YouTube, podcast, audiobook, movie?
I am more, I'm kind of all podcasted out. So I'm sort of non-fictioned out, and I've talked about this before, that just in the last 3 or 4 years, non-fiction, news, all the podcasts are usually about like all the other kinds of topics, news, things like that. If there are podcasts about like this,
so what are you going to do then? What are you going to watch?
For me, it's going to be TV shows or movies.
So here's one thing that I want for some people, that they might want to pick a bike over an elliptical. I don't know how this would work, but one thing I don't like about elliptical is that I can't read textbooks, right? Like that, like, because your hands are like
textbooks
moving.
like, okay, you mean books that you
like physical book, like I can't hold in my hand. I wish there was I could do cardio and actually go like this while I'm doing cardio, right? Right now I can't do that with an elliptical.
I'm seeing like on Amazon, there's some ellipticals that are under the desk elliptical things. I don't think that's I don't know.
But if you're not into anything like over your phone, like no audio, no movies, if you're like, the only thing I enjoy doing when it comes to consuming content is actually reading physical books, then consider getting something that is just involves like your feet, like you could just like read, maybe you could do something like that.
Yeah. So I have.
So I tried with the elliptical using my feet only without actually holding the handles and actually going through a textbook, and like it's so shaky. I can't. Like, nope, this is not working.
What is the use? But don't the handles move too? I mean, they go back and forth.
Yeah.
So what is the use of just doing the feet without the handles? I mean, doesn't it?
Well, I assume, I don't know actually. Okay, so I'm assuming, if I'm using the handles, if I'm not using the handles, my feet is probably using more energy because my arms are not helping. So I felt like this must be the same amount of calories. I don't know. Maybe it's not, because maybe more muscles means more calories. I have no idea. Okay, but at the end of the day, I was like, it doesn't really matter if I do an extra half an hour by, like, I'm not going to sacrifice my 1 hour of doing both the hands and the feet. I'm just going to maybe add to it if I could, by really,
You would add to it, like, you're doing your
so if
1 hour normal elliptical, and then you do like the under the desk thing while you're working or whatever.
So if it's less efficient, if it's less calories, it doesn't matter, because this is just something additional to what I was already doing, not replacing it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is great. This is great. So, giving me a lot to think about, especially weight. So if you're not motivated, if you're lazy, if you don't like inconvenience, and if you are impatient and you want to get into shape, look at what Armin's done, and you can do it. Like, it's just
don't look for motivation, look for innovation. Remain lazy. Just change your lifestyle so that your lazy habits works for you.
Fit in.
Yeah, lazy people are the greatest innovators anyway, right? Because they keep trying to find ways to make things work for them without actually having to find the motivation, right?
Every time I see somebody who's doing an amazing amount of things, like, they have a day job and then they're off. Well, I mean, I get asked this a lot, right? Because I do have my day job. I also do podcasts. I also do music. I also write books. And they're like, how do you do all this stuff at the same time? And then if they talk to the people who live with me, they'll be like, God, he's the most lazy person ever. Because most of the time, just sitting down or lying around trying to think up ideas to do the next thing and figure out how to be lazy while I can do other shit. And it helps you get more shit done. It just does somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just funny.
Matt is enjoying this episode. Matt's saying, I love this episode.
Yeah, Matt. Hey, thank you. So this is it. Guys, this is my new thing. So Armin's got his baby with Atheist Republic. He does that. This is my new thing, just to talk about things that are,
it's fun, isn't it? Like,
yeah, actually, because I forget that there's an audience. Like, I'm not even concerned about who's not, or whatever.
Don't tell your audience that you forget about them. That's not very good.
No, I saw a comment up there where they're like, how come I can't super chat? And then I realized, okay, I don't have a super chat on this, but too lazy to set it up. I'll find another way that's more innovative. And on that note, Armin, Navabi, thank you. We've been on this for over 2 hours. This is like a lot longer than I thought it would be, but it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. I actually genuinely learned a lot on this. So I didn't know that you had thought this through. I feel like you've got a very sort of mathematical way of thinking about it. Especially when you said, if you're doing 6 reps, then you're getting less of that fraction between 6 and 7 than if you do 20 reps, when you're getting a higher chunk of. So that was the one thing. I think if I had to pick one thing that tells me that, okay, the way you approach this stuff when you're talking about innovation and really working out the smart way and finding excuses to maintain your laziness, I think that's amazing. So. All right, let's see. So I'm going to change things around. Let's see if that works for me.
Okay. Keep me updated, and let's do this again. This is so much fun.
Yeah. Next time we'll do another topic. What did you wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, I want to talk about that too, like relationships and things like that.
Yes.
That'll be good. Yeah, we'll do one about that.
That would be
All
fun.
right. Okay, everybody. Matt, Mars, like the usual, the crowd, everything.
Yeah, our people are here. The same people. I love
This
this.
is
I love
good. If
Mars. Who's
if you were hearing this on audio, if you're hearing this on iTunes or any other your podcast apps, and you want to watch on video some of the things that Armin may have referred to, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, so you can go watch it over there. So
Vincent is here too? I think.
yeah, man. Since I have a whole bunch of people here.
Anna was here earlier. I didn't know if she's still here.
Yeah, I think
Mark,
she was here.
yeah.
But Susanna, yeah, because I think I feel like we got into a lot of things that only I think guys would listen to. This ended up being a bit of a sausage thing. But okay. All right, everybody. Bye.
Have Susanna on. Should have Susanna on here.
Yeah, I have Susanna. I have to figure. There's so many things that she could talk about. She's such a multifaceted person. So she was here when I had Mariam Namazi on, right? When we talked about your favorite subject. I'm kidding. And there was some troll going on and just repeating and spamming the comments. I had no idea how to moderate it. So she jumped in, she moderated it. I was like, wow.
Oh, wow. Great. Yes.
Yeah, because Mariam was getting distracted by it too. But
okay.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next. We're gonna have some secular jihadist episodes also coming up next week and the week after, as usual. We always do. So we'll see you guys then. And for now, bye.
Bye.
And